How are we doing with our speed reading? Are we practicing 20 to 30 minutes a day? Are we charting our progress on a graph? Well, today we're going to talk about part 3 of the comprehension skills. Now, part 1 was having desire. Part 2 was looking upwards. And part 3 was transforming our text into a test. Now, most of the time as we read, we're trying to develop a skill and apply it to our lives. So basically, 9 times out of 10 when we read, we're going to read basically a text type book. Now, have you ever noticed that in the books that there are these big bold letters, and under these big bold letters there are some small ones? Well, we call these headings and subheadings. Now, when we study, say, something like anatomy, we open a book, a chapter I should say, and we see something like the respiratory system. And in big bold letters it says respiratory system. What is the respiratory system? Well, that's a question. Write that on a 3x5 card on the front side. Then, later on, you're going to answer that question. Then, as you read on, you're going to see names of parts of the respiratory system, like the lungs, the mouth. Write down lungs on one side of the card, and then write what the lungs have to do with the respiratory system on the other side. By taking each of these headings and subheadings and place them on 3x5 cards, and then writing the answers on the opposite side, you are having your test already. So when you go and take the test for your instructors, you know all the questions and you know all the answers. Now, what do you do with your life? Now, we're at a traffic light. Now, you can go through about 2, maybe 3 cards at a traffic light. What do you do in a shopping line? You got all your food ready to move up, but you're there for about 3 to 5 minutes. And what do you do when you're in the, quote, library? You just sit there until you're finished, right? Now, why can't you just pull out the 3x5 cards and review it? The more often you review these questions, the more chance of it being lodged in your brain, and then when you take the test, it will flow easily out. You can also say, something like the respiratory system. I want that. What is the respiratory system? Now, the next card says, what does the respiratory system do? And third question is like, name the parts or organs that make up the respiratory system. And so far, you got 3 questions right there, and I guarantee you one of them is going to be on the test. I took a 75 question test on the respiratory system, and I had over 200 cards. My instructor was astounded for 2 reasons. One, I had him in a previous course, and I got C's and B's, mostly C's. And now, 2 weeks later, after understanding the comprehension skills and developing my speed reading skills, he was totally shocked to see my grades always hovering about 100. I may get 1 question wrong out of a 75 question test, but it's like I'm only human. But so he's watching me to see if I was cheating, but I wasn't. Well, actually, I was what you call honest cheating, because I made up the test. I had all the test questions. I had more questions and answers than he had in the test, but when it came to the test, I read. So when you're reading, transform those headings and subheadings into questions. And you can it serves 2 purposes. 1, you're going to pass the test. 2, you're going to understand the parts of whatever topic you're doing, because if you read something about the respiratory system, it's going to break it down. If you read about crop rotation, it's going to break it down. If you're going to read about space, it's going to break it down into chapters. Now, if you break these chapters into small bite-sized portions to eat, you can digest it. It's like trying to eat an elephant. You cannot eat an elephant in one sitting. But if you cut it up and eat a portion here and a portion there, you can understand it. So, the part of comprehension is understand the material. And the second part of understanding the material is to apply it. And that's what we're going to talk to next.